So this is my video on how to read stock charts, and I'm redoing this because I feel like I could explain it just a little bit better. So first thing we got to note is time increments. As we know, each candle represents an increment of time. In this way, each candle represents 1 minute of time. So if I look at each candle, this candle goes from 9:43 and then 9:44. Over here on this chart, this candle goes from 9:35 to 9:40. There's a 5-minute difference, and as you can see, I see the minute by minute play, and I see how the market does every 5 minutes. So in this 5-minute period, it goes down. In this 5-minute period, it's up. 5-minute period's up. 5-minute period's up. 5-minute period's down. So on and so forth, yada yada yada. And we get to see how the market does in a more condensed scene. Now let's look at it even more condensed, and we get to see the daily chart. As you can see, the daily chart is pretty wacky, but we get to make resistance levels. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and look at the daily chart right here because it's a bit bigger for us, and we get to see more of what happens. So let's move all the way over here, and let's mark some levels. Levels are basically the highs and lows for that period of time. So I'm going to go all the way here to the highest of high, which is 476.44. And let's see if I can mark it. 476.44. And I marked it. So as you can see, that is a level that we actually don't ever touch again. And then we go down and we play this resistance. So over the course of a couple days, we bounce off this level. So over here, I'm going to mark it around here. Oh, sorry, didn't even click it. So I'm going to mark it on the bottom of this red candle right here. This red candle is going to be my mark indicator. So we drop below the level and we come back up and we touch it, come back up, touch it again, come back up, touch it again, come back up. Next day we go off, right? That is resistance. This is resistance. This is support. It supports the stock above this level. And then we go all the way up here and we go all the way to this peak, and we can't really break it. We can't break this peak, so we go down. And then we move sideways, we touch this peak again, but this becomes resistance. We can't break above it. This line is resistance. So we go down and we actually break past our previous support. What should have been support, which brought our stock up, and then the next day we were above our resistance and then we fell below. Then we were really, really low, and so we're going to mark this as resistance because it immediately shot back up. So it shot back up and we couldn't necessarily break too high, and then we would shoot down. But we'd have resistance here, and then it shot below our resistance. We shot back up. This support, our 425 support, now became a 425 resistance. So these candles can't break above this resistance. When it did break above the resistance, we ran pretty high. And then we broke past our 454.96 resistance we made all the way back here. Remember these guys? Now we're retesting that level. We broke above it, but we couldn't hold it. So we went back down. And we went down and we went down. And then we tried to bounce off this level, couldn't do it. We went down, down again. This level that we made all the way back here again started showing up as resistance, and this level came support. So it would fall down, support it back up, resist, and fall down again. Now the stock fell below this line, and now we're seeing a new low. So I'm going to set the stock at around here. So the stock fell and it came back up and resisted. Then it fell again. Our new support was 385. And what used to be our support right here now became resistance for our stock. So it went down, came back up, same trend, went up, couldn't really break above, but this line, since we were above it, became resistance. So it started bouncing between it. And then eventually we fell down, and we fell down really hard. We made a new low here. This is our new low, our new all-time low. So I'm going to mark it. And we went back up, resisted this level, went down, came back up, kind of resisted this level a bit. So looks like we resisted this level multiple times. Came back down. I'm going to mark this level because it looks like we've touched this level a couple times too. Actually, move this a bit lower. Actually, no, I like it. Like it right there. So now we're on the uptrend. We gapped up again, crashed down, gapped up again, ran a bit. Today we ran a bit, but can we hold this resistance? We're in this kind of uncharted territory area. We broke past this little level, broke past yesterday's high, and now we're here. So tomorrow, we could either crash down again, or we can keep going. That's how the setup's looking. And usually, we might trend sideways for a couple days. We might trend sideways, or we could jump up. We could break down this resistance. If we break down, we're going to crash down. If we break up, we might be looking at a run all the way to 407. That gives us indicators on how we're going to play our stock and how much we're going to hold our stock. If we buy in here, right? If I buy in thinking the stock's going to move up, because it could go either way at this point. If the stock goes up, I'm going to make a $407. I'm going to hold my options or my stocks till $407 because I believe that this 390 is going to be resistance now. And it might run all the way to 407 because it's going to try to test that line as we've tested it multiple times in the past. As you see here, we tested it once, twice, became support right here a couple times. So now we might retest it here, or we could fall down. So that's kind of how to read that chart. So let's go back to our minute chart. You can make resistance lines within your minutes. So this is the stock today. We always want to mark our pre-market highs and pre-market lows. So I'm going to go to what I saw pre-market, and we kind of gapped down a bit. So I'm going to look over here. Let's see if I can just move this out of my way. This is pre-market. We had a pre-market high of 393.54. So can I mark it? 393.54. Doesn't let me seem to mark it. Whatever. Yellow. 393.60. That's close enough. And then I'll mark my pre-market low. Looks like a 390.80. And so when our market opens, we go all the way up here and we kind of top out all the way at 392.92. That's where we top out. But I'm probably going to move my candle all the way down here to resistance, where the candle closed at. Closing candles or where the high was is always a good place to mark your highs. We dropped down all the way right here, so I'm going to mark my indicator right here. Or actually, I'm going to go ahead and move this down just a little bit. So, moving on, we have our indicators. We top out right here. We tested it again, couldn't break through. Fell down a bit more. So this low is lower than this low. That's kind of a bear move. That's something you'll learn is bear and bull. So I know this low is higher than this low. So we're seeing lower lows. That's a very bull movement, right? Now I'm also seeing that this high is lower than this high. So that's also a bull movement. Now I could say that this high is higher than this high, but if we're seeing lower lows or higher lows and lower highs, that's a bull movement. And as you can see, we dip again. And we actually hit a resistance, a few times. We made a resistance here. And then we actually bounced between this area a little bit. But we tested this level, couldn't break it, tested it again, couldn't break it, and we fell. So then we actually fell all the way down here, and I'm going to make a resistance line around here, and we bounced up. So we started moving up, and we started moving up pretty fast, and we were breaking all of our previous levels, right? So we went all the way up here, and we topped out right here. So it was kind of a bit of a run before we saw resistance. So we topped out there, and we bottomed out here. Now we have new levels. So we came back here, ran up, and we broke through our previous high. So we started running up. We made a new resistance around here. So now we have new levels. We came back, and this level that was resistance now became support. So we started running up again. I can mark the level. And that's all I do all day. I mark my levels, and I see where the stock bounces between those levels. If it breaks down, like right here, it broke down below this level, and it shot down. Right? So I know it's below this level now. It's going to resist, and I might want to start looking at a 392.82 put. We did end up going back above our levels, and then we shot down again, and we actually hit our 392, which I called. And then we actually, this level, we started going up. So we know this level is support. We didn't break through it. It was our new support. So we started moving up. We made trends. And that's basically how you read that chart. I can go all day on how the market moved. But as you can see, I set a lot of levels. And levels become resistance and supports. Old resistance becomes new supports. Old supports can become new resistance if we fall down. Now when I'm trading, I can look at the minute chart, and let's say I'm in a red candle. But for my 5-minute chart, I see that we're really green for 5 minutes. Oh my god, my throat cracked on me. So let's say the market opens, and we open up in a really green candle, right? So at 940, let's look at 940 right now. 940 is red, but then we go green, right? So if I see a red candle and our 5 minutes says we're green, I'm going to have more confidence that this is a pullback, that the red candle is a pullback. Because it's always good to look at big pictures. It's always good to look at the bigger picture and things. Once again, if I'm in the minute chart, I see a red candle, but my 5-minute candle is green, it's a pullback. So I'm not going to panic, and I'm not going to sell. Now, if I see a green candle and a 5-minute red, I know that's also a pullback. That might be a time to buy more puts, or whatever the situation is. If it's usually just a pullback and not a reason to be scared and to hold your position. It's just slight resistance we're facing. So that's kind of a little overview. There are some other things you need to learn, such as lines. There are EMA lines, resistance line, exponential moving averages. I prefer the exponential moving average of the past 8 days, 10 days, and the past 21 days. And these lines actually shows as levels. And they're also resistance. As you can see, the candles touch these little lines, and they like to bounce between them, move between them. These lines are kind of like moving resistances or moving supports. As you can see, if right here we start staying above our lines, our EMA 8 line, and then the second we dump below our EMA 8 line, we start going back up above our lines, right? So it's kind of a trend. If we're below our lines, they immediately moved above our lines. So right here, we dropped below our lines, and then we moved above our lines, all these lines. And I think I explained that in the first video I did about how to read charts, so I'd recommend watching that one too, because I don't feel like explaining it again. You have your VWAP, your volume weighted average price. And yeah, volume is very important. I explained volume. It's the amount of shares being bought and sold within that time period. You know, spikes in volume is always a good indicator. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at there. Hope you guys enjoyed that kind of refresher review. I just felt like this was a little bit better way to explain things. I kind of went a little more babbling in my other video. I don't know if you guys like that one. So this is kind of a newer video. Still a lot of important information in that first video I posted. So definitely watch that. But if you still have some confusion, hopefully this clears it up. And now you can go back to that other video and watch it again. All right, you guys are on your way. Good luck.